Hey guys, welcome to IGN's newest show called Godlike. It's a show, it's a safe place all about discussing Smite.
Yes.
Yes.
All
so
Smite
hyped.
all the time.
So hyped for this.
I am your host, Brandon Tyrell. I'm joined by Alfredo
What's up, guys?
and Kyle.
Hey, what's up, guys?
So, like I said, we're not specifically coming at this with anything other than we want to talk about Smite.
Such
Yeah.
a fun game.
It's just
more people need to know about it, in my opinion.
Yeah.
exactly. More people need to know about Smite. It's something that we're playing consistently on a daily basis,
Yeah.
and we just love talking about it. So it's like we know that there's a big fan base out there for Smite, so why not bring everyone together on a weekly basis?
Exactly, and it's weird because the MOBA scene is huge. It's getting bigger,
Yep.
right? And
Which is unbelievable. I can't believe it's getting bigger.
I know. Right? It's already like critical
Huge.
mass.
Yeah.
And so you know you're already familiar with ign-arena. I'm sure you probably are. And so Dota, League, really the giants in the scene right now. And yet this little action-based MOBA called Smite,
So good.
based on mythology.
So much fun.
I got hooked. We'll get into that in a second.
Yeah, yeah.
But basically, just talking to people around the office, we found out that it's got quite a following here at IGN and
Oh, yeah.
you know, across the internet, far and wide. So
I mean, Smite itself as a game has been growing tremendously over the past year.
This is only the start of the second year out of beta, right?
no, so the beta started in 2013.
Okay.
2013 is when it went open beta. And now we're starting the second season.
Yeah.
Okay.
Season 2's pretty much just started.
Yeah. So
That's
basically,
awesome.
when all the official rules and all that hit, and they started the pro league and you know, real structure started to come to Smite.
Yeah.
That was the end of season 1. It culminated in the Smite World Championship, which I think.
Oh my goodness, the prize pool for that was what,
2.6, right?
million.
Yeah.
So I
Wow.
think that's on
Insane.
record. I think that's on record as the third largest.
It's up there. Yeah.
Prize pool?
purse.
Yeah.
Behind
Well-
the Invitational 1 and 2, I think.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah,
Um,
TI4 was 11 millions total.
Oh,
I know. First place got
Oh,
5.
I'm playing the wrong game.
No,
That's
seriously.
crazy, right?
Seriously.
That's
I mean, but it's getting there, right? Like, you know, they announced. I think there was a tournament earlier this year for 600 grand, and that was where they started, and then the community drove it up to added $2 million to the purse.
Well,
Yeah.
comparatively, Dota's been around so much longer. Like you can't
Has
like it's almost unfair to compare the prize pool for TI4 to like the Smite World Championships when it's only in season 2
Yeah.
and Dota's been around since forever, like
Right.
almost 13, 14 years now.
I mean,
That's true,
I'm just
in some
excited
incarnation.
because
Yeah.
Smite, and we'll get into detail about this
Yeah,
later, but
yeah.
Smite is going to hit the Xbox One. It's going to hit the console. And
yeah.
Personally, I believe like that's really what's going to really kick off Smite in terms of like mainstream.
Yeah.
So we'll get into that
Let's
later.
talk about
but,
that
like,
later for
that's,
sure.
That's exciting
We
stuff.
should introduce ourselves.
Yeah. Well, we should talk about, I guess,
our backgrounds. in
yeah,
Smite.
how we got into it. How
Kyle, want to kick in?
Yeah, I'll start with mine since mine's the least awesome. I just recently started. I just started dipping my toes into Smite. I played a whole bunch of World of Warcraft as a kid and into my earlier years, and the transition from WoW PvP and Arena to Smite is so seamless.
Right.
I'm also a huge League of Legends fan. Like
Yeah.
I love League of Legends, quality game. I love MOBAs. Played all of them, but Smite with the combination of the third person point of view and then the MOBA aspect was just such an easy translation for me from the WoW PvP love to this. You know, I played a lot of Arena, fairly successful in it. Obviously not professionally successful, but I got high rankings. Then League of Legends, I played a whole bunch of that. I'm not as good as I want to be at League of Legends, but whatever. I feel like that's how we're all
I think
going to
anyone
be.
is.
Yeah, I want to be a pro, but it's not
Yeah.
going to happen. So that's my street cred for Smite. Really loving it. I love every aspect of it. What about you?
So I've never played a MOBA in my life before.
Wow.
And so my point of view on this podcast is going to be quite different. So yeah, I've never played a MOBA before, and I just got into Smite literally like a month ago. I'm a hardcore console kid. I do have a PC. I play DayZ and stuff like that, but like console is like where my heart is at. And Smite just hooked me.
Yeah.
I think the biggest thing is that kind of like third person camera perspective, and it really just kind of clicked with me because FPS is my like genre,
Bread
right?
and butter, right?
So I think it just really hooked me with that point of view and the fact that the gods were relatable. I really like that a lot.
Everything being a skill shot was huge.
Yeah,
for me,
everything
too.
being a skill shot was really awesome. So my perspective is a hardcore console kid like falling in love with a MOBA.
Which is strange.
Which is
weird.
really strange.
Yeah,
really
yeah.
strange.
But I mean, you know, like we'll get into it later. But now it seems like it's gonna come full circle.
It's going to come full circle. And it's exciting because, I mean, those of you guys that do know me, whenever I get into a video game, like, I get hardcore into it.
You get, like, super,
I've been, like, Mitch is sitting right next to me. He's like, oh, he's got the Smite bug. Like, I'm over there, like, looking at builds and, like, seeing how Smite, like, different gods play. And so, like, yeah, it's got me hooked.
Yeah.
What about you, Brandon?
Yeah.
What's your street cred?
I think
let's start off with how many games.
Yeah, how many games total have
I
you played?
played like 3 or 4 games. Okay,
Thousand.
That's some zeros.
There's a couple zeros, 3 or 4,000.
I come into this absolutely with the most experience out of anyone here. So how I got into Smite originally, covering the games industry, I saw the rise of MOBA, and I thought, well, if I want to be well versed, I should probably keep up on MOBAs. I tried really hard to get into League of Legends. I played a couple dozen games, and the same thing with Dota. I played a couple dozen hours, and nothing stuck. And then one of our freelancers, actually, who was on the wiki side, was cutting videos about gods. Every time a new god would be released, he'd cut a new video. Shout out to Sean.
Sean Saris, right?
Sean Saris,
yeah.
You guys have some experience with him.
Yeah,
huh?
definitely.
And so basically, I saw one of Sean's videos, and it was Poseidon. I think it was February 2013, and Poseidon is just doing work in mid lane, right? Like he drops a whirlpool, he hits a wave, and then he summons the Kraken, and this sea monster like pops out of the ground and like teeth.
It's a good ult. It's a good ult.
And as soon as I saw that video, I was like, yeah, I'm done. I'm in. Like being a huge mythology nerd as a kid, I saw that and I was like, yeah, I want all of that right now. And so I downloaded it, and that was 2 years ago, and I haven't not played a game, probably one game a day at least since then. So,
wow.
Yeah, they got me good. They got me hooked, and it's everything you guys mentioned, man. I mean, the mythology is awesome. Yeah, I love the style of it. The art style's actually evolved so much over 2 years that it's really hard to recognize it as the same game that I started playing.
I've got to say, like, the art style and the character design and the kits on each god are just awesome. I'm trying not to cuss, but they're just amazing.
They're really awesome.
I haven't played a god yet where I've been like, oh, I don't like this guy's kit. Like, everyone, I'm like, wow, this guy's really fun, and he plays how he looks and how I think his mythology should tie in.
Sure, yeah, exactly. I mean, it all works together so well, and the third-person view really brought it out of that bird's eye view for me. Whereas I click on a god in traditional MOBAs, I click on a god, I click to get there, and then I click on a god, and my basic attacks auto hit, and it's just more like a tactician's feel to it, right? Whereas in Smite, I'm down there, I'm in the trenches, I'm using WASD, I'm moving around, and if I'm a ranged physical god, like I gotta hit my shots, right? If I'm a mage, I gotta drop this AoE where I need it. I gotta put walls to block people. The collision is great. You can body block. It's just, it all comes together for me, being able to come out of the jungle and actually sneak up on someone. Like,
blindside him.
Get right behind Kyle and stab him in the back. And he can't see me coming.
Yep.
Yeah, I think that's one of the, like, going back to what I was saying earlier, I mean, it's just the controls too. I think that's what hooked me, right? Because I'm used to playing just FPS games or just playing on a console. And the thing with Dota and League that I couldn't really grasp was, like, I had to click on him to, like, hit him, then click out for a little bit, then click back in, then click out. Hold on, I forgot I got to stay close to this mic so they can hear me.
Yeah, that's true. That's one thing I noticed too, is, like, not to take anything away from League or
no, it's a great game. I did have fun with it, but it just didn't hook me like Smite did.
Yeah, but that constant, like, back and forth clicking just to, like, sort of like tread water, like in an area.
It's called micro.
It's called micro.
Yeah, micro versus macro. That's kind of like a StarCraft thing. Yeah, I'm gonna derail the conversation. Sorry. Yeah. The micro movements on League are really hard to grasp if you're, like, super into first-person shooters, and that's why I think Smite translates so well.
Yeah,
especially with the skill shots. And
I think it translates so well to the action crowd and the console crowd, and maybe people who aren't into micromanaging.
So I have a quick question. I think it would be fun to ask. Favorite god to play right now?
Oh man. Do you have your answer off the top of your head?
To play right now?
Yeah. Like right now, who's your bread and butter?
Oh, I don't really. I mean,
I mean,
He's like, I just
he's
play
like,
everyone.
I'm good with
I'm
everyone.
working on Sobek right now. I just finished mastering rank 10 Herc. I'm working on Sobek now. He's at 8.
I know.
I think my god, it used to be Zeus when I first started. It was Zeus,
Yeah.
and then he got nerfed.
He got nerfed, yeah.
He got nerfed hard. When you stack 3 balls on him
Yeah.
and then you detonate,
Yeah.
It used to stun for a second.
Oh,
which
that's
means
OP.
you stack 3, stun, hit him with a Polynomicon proc, and then just go to work on him. And now it just slows. And I think
I wasn't there during that time, but people were like, when I play with my friends, they're like, remember when that used to stun? I was like, that used to stun?
Yeah, it sounds terrible.
What?
Dude.
That sounds-
Like you get in
sounds
there, you drop your ult, you pop Aegis, everybody takes 3. You drop the hammer, everyone's stunned, and they're just hanging out like just bathing in damage. It was fantastic.
pretty
But
OP.
right now it's probably Bakasura.
Bakasura is really
I
solid.
hate
it.
when I see him on the opponent's team.
I love the hit and run.
He's
It's brutal.
Kyle, yours?
So I'm working on mastering a bunch of gods to do ranked, but I mean it has to be Ymir. Did I pronounce that right?
Ymir. Yep.
Ymir and Hercules. Those guys.
Nice.
And Sylvanas.
Yeah, you're good with really tanky. We played this weekend, and
He's perfect. He
And
likes
I
being a
love-
guardian.
Yeah.
yeah, you're
It's like,
your
yes,
support. I was like, you and
someone
I are
likes
gonna
to
get
be support.
you and I are
that's-
gonna get along really well.
That's what I played. That's what I played in League. It's my preferred role. And WoW, I was always a healer or a tank.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it's completely up my
And
alley.
you were good. Like, I mean, even though you didn't know what some of the stuff did, like
Yeah.
mechanics were super sound. He walked in with like Sylvanas, and he was like, "Oh, what does this do?" And I was like, "Well, that heals, this pulls, this stuns." And he's like, "Oh, okay, cool, let's do this." And then we
It's
like
like rabid
destroyed
fools.
the other
Yeah,
team.
I think that's one of the cool things too, is that if you come from different MOBAs, I mean, you know,
a lot of it translates.
yeah, a lot of it translates over,
Yeah.
and it's easy to transition between them. But when we first started talking, you're like, "Yeah, I like to be the tank." I was like, "Oh, perfect.
Yeah,
thank
yeah,
you,
please,
thank
please
you,"
play.
because no one else that I know does.
It's not a glory role.
Yeah, for me, I started off with on her, but I grew to love Janice.
Yeah.
You want
Like,
Janice, dude.
Oh,
And Janice- Janice
so
is good.
much fun.
Speaking
love
of
what
good
you can
character
do with
design,
them. Yeah.
Janice looks awesome, and his kit is
Yeah,
amazing.
Yeah.
I just got
very
the
cool.
Jandroid skin.
Oh,
Yeah,
so
we did
good.
on Saturday. I got
Yeah, I
the Jandroid
remember.
skin with the voice pack, and I was like, "Oh, this is so cool."
it's so dark. It's like really like
Yeah, it's ominous. Yep, there you go.
Yeah. And you and he's great. I saw this weekend you were like whipping through walls and like I'm like, oh, Alfredo's dead, and then it's like, nope, later. And then
Yeah,
through
that's
the
I mean,
wall
that's
around
the thing
back.
too. Like you
that's
said, it's hard to kill
he's
a
very
good Janus.
slippery.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, let's move into the next thing. So I want to talk about Smite, on the overall arc of where it is right now and why. Yeah, I think right now might be the best time. Would you say the best time to get involved?
It's a
Considering
really good time to get into Smite.
I would 100% agree.
Yeah.
I feel like we're right at the tipping point, especially when this hits Xbox.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that later, but
We keep saying we'll talk about it later. We just want to talk about it.
Coming from a console
I know.
point of view, like I have a lot to say about it. But I mean, we have a new season, right?
Right.
We have a new map. We'll go into detail. You want to go into detail or no?
No, I mean let's just put
hit
it
it.
out there for the community. So we just started season 2.
Yep.
Which is basically the second season of the Pro League. And with that brought a lot of new additions and changes to the game, primarily being the new Conquest map, which is totally different. Did you see the Conquest map before they changed it?
No. I did see it though with the changes.
Yeah. Okay. So we'll link to it somewhere down below, but
Yeah, if you're watching this
basic-
on the article.
yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Hopefully you guys are watching it on IGN, or we'll have it on YouTube as well as on our iTunes.
Yeah.
As well.
Yeah, so somewhere down there. But basically, they opened up the jungle, right? They aesthetically, it's completely different. You have Olympus on one side and like this gaping open hell mouth on the
Yeah,
other.
it looks really cool.
One side's a beach now, right? And then one side is sort of taken over by that lava out of said volcano. But the jungle is much more open, and I feel like you're not as safe in there anymore. I don't know if you have you spent much time in the jungle?
Oh,
yeah. So I feel like right now it's much more open. It's much more of a battleground, right?
Yeah.
Whereas before it was very strategic. You used it to get from point A to point B to hit your ganks in a lane. And now I feel like because it's so much more open, the fog of war kind of doesn't really have the same effect that it used to. But it's a new map. It's a new meta. They dropped some buffs. They changed some buffs.
Yep.
What'd they drop?
So they used to have the mana buff in. So they used to have the mana buff in the Gold Fury side of the map.
Okay.
And now they changed it for the speed buff.
Okay. But now the speed buff is attack speed. I felt like it was just speed beforehand, right?
Yeah, now it's attack speed and in-hand damage, I believe. I think the purple buff, yeah. So they changed it also in Arena.
This is all relatively new. These updates, yeah.
And honestly, we've been spending so much time like just trying to get this together that I haven't had a lot of time to play the Conquest.
Yeah.
So
We spent a lot of our Saturday on Joust.
Oh my god!
Because
Joust
we're just like, all right, we should start playing together.
3v3.
Because,
very good, yeah.
And then you guys were like, yeah, your headphones got feedback. I went and bought a new one. Just like that afternoon.
Seriously.
That's why I took so long.
Yeah.
Went to Best Buy to get a new headphone since my other one got stolen.
The bug, man, it bites you.
That game is so much fun.
I went out and bought a new keyboard just because I like
I'm using a Corsair mechanical one. It's really nice.
Yeah. Well, originally the actives are mapped to F and G, and like I kept trying to hit G and would accidentally hit F because my keys were too prominent. I was like, no, this won't do.
Oh yeah. I mean, I just remapped everything.
I'm gonna start key binding too.
I use F and Q now.
Nice.
So
going back to this season 2 and all the updates and changes.
Oh yeah,
and stuff.
Yeah. Sorry, we're getting off. Man.
It's so easy to get derailed about Smite. I could talk.
Yeah, we could talk about this for hours. But yes.
So new map, right? New items coming in, new meta. For those that aren't really familiar with meta, what it is basically just like the best practices at any given time. So a team will figure out a great way to start a match of Conquest. They'll figure out a great way to build a character or something, and that sort of becomes the meta. And then it evolves over time as people figure out counters, people figure out other ways to approach and deal with that, or maybe they find a better way to squeeze out higher numbers out of a build or something.
Yep, lots of fine-tuning, and that's one of the beauties of MOBAs is that there's just so many different ways.
Evolving.
The theory crafting and the min-maxing of your characters, finding out how to just squeeze every ounce of power or efficiency, effectiveness out of whatever you're spending your gold on, So the meta has just started. It's going to be changing, I mean, relatively fluidly. So now is a great time to get in on the ground floor of that. In addition, this week, maybe, we're going to see our first female warrior.
Belladonna, right?
Bellona.
Bellona, I'm sorry.
Bologna?
Bellona. No, she's great. I don't know if you've seen her yet, but she's got a really rad design. First female warrior, and she's not your typical Smite female gods. She seems scrappy, stocky, and she looks like she could probably kick your ass. So, that's really cool. Her kit is amazing. They're introducing a new status effect with her for the first time ever. It's called Disarm.
Oh, I didn't know Disarm wasn't in Smite, so that's like...
Yeah, no. They have like stun, slow, mez, cripple. There's a bunch of other ones.
What is her Disarm?
So basically, Disarm prevents you from doing basic attacks for the duration.
That's awesome.
So her kit is basically she does an ability and then she gets a new weapon, and that new weapon allows her to, hit with a different attack chain. Maybe it hits harder but swings slower. Maybe it has more reach but it doesn't hit as hard.
Who do you think is going to be hardest hit by the Disarm, like in terms of champions?
I mean, any in-hand god, right? Like probably a hunter, maybe assassins, Bakasura. But she does seem like her role is very much a counter carry warrior. She gets in there, she messes you up. She can go for a long time. Every time she hits or every time she takes a hit, she builds up blocks, so she actually absorbs in-hand attacks.
Wow.
Yeah, she looks like a lot of fun. So these new mechanics, they seem to be sort of the driving, I guess, the driving direction that Hi-Rez is taking Smite. Like a lot in the past, it very much seemed like this guy does damage and this guy tanks and this guy does damage and a little bit more efficiently, but doesn't tank as well.
Yeah.
And now it seems like this person has crazy mechanics and it can do just about anything. You just have to build for it. So,
yeah,
a lot of really interesting stuff coming out.
I've just been super impressed with Smite in general. Just all the design, the art design, the level design, everything just looks amazing.
Yeah.
Really.
So there were some, I mean, we won't go into detail, but there are some changes with items, and then there were also some like buffs and nerfs when it came to gods, certain gods.
Who got nerfed the hardest?
Ao Kuang.
But didn't he need it?
He needed that.
Okay, I was gonna say
those dragons.
He's tough.
I was like, okay, that guy's OP.
Yeah, let me play him. I'm gonna just play him the whole time.
Yeah, like as another jungler, like when I'm counter jungling, I'm in their territory, and I hear that boop when he goes invisible.
Yep.
I'm just like,
no,
run.
This
is
run.
Bad.
And like that was a thing. Like his strength was if you had him in a 1v1, like if he had you in a 1v1, it was just done. Like he was just gonna
tough.
eat you up alive.
You can you can shut him down pretty easily with speed, but he can counter that also easily. And I know a lot of assassin Ao Kuangs that'll just build speed, right?
Yeah.
So if you can get away from him, you're okay, because then he has to pop his dragons to slow you down.
Yeah.
But hunters in general, I think in Season 2 got nerfed pretty hard. They nerfed their lane clear abilities. So Hi-Rez seems to want you clearing lanes with basic attacks, which I can understand. The role of the hunter is very much the skill shot role. But all in all, you know, things are going to change, and people are going to get buffed and nerfed again.
Was there any touches to Serket?
I don't play Serket, so I don't know off the top of my head. I do have a friend that plays Serket, and I don't hear her mention anything about it, so I'm not 100%. But
yeah, I mean, I glanced up. Yeah, I
people,
looked at the patches, but I didn't really see Serket. I could, like I said, I could be wrong.
a lot of people think that she is like one of the best gods in the game, and for good reason.
So good.
I've never played her.
So good.
Imagine like an assassin that can just sort of jump in, poison you, do a bunch of crits, and then just get out. Like,
yeah,
almost every skill that she has is an escape.
Oh man.
Yeah,
She's
it's
super wily.
high mobility.
Yeah.
She hits hard.
Is she fragile?
She's very
yeah,
fragile.
Okay.
yeah, very
well, that's
fragile.
good at least.
Yeah. But, I mean, you know, she stacks different kinds of poisons on you, and then her damage multiplies and changes depending on those poisons.
Yeah. It's ridiculous. It's fun playing with her.
Yeah.
I
But yeah, no, I think now is probably the best time to get into Smite.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. If
mean,
you've got
and-
any interest in it.
And
Yeah.
if you look at the trajectory,
Even if you don't, give it a try.
yeah,
Free.
absolutely. I
It's
mean,
free.
As someone who didn't like MOBAs and jumped into Smite, and I didn't expect it to stick. I saw the mythology and I thought this is really awesome, and then I got into it and I was like, this is cool, but it's very intimidating. It comes out so easily.
It's intimidating, but they make it easy when you pick a god, you know what I mean, and from there you pretty much like they do have a list of like these are the popular items, right, and you start really starting to understand. And also, like, I had a really good experience with the community. I was playing as Serket and I was playing against somebody, and then he was like, man, like, you're really coming after me that game, right at the end of the game. And I was like, sorry, it's like my first game with Serket. It's like my 10th game in Smite. And he was like, hey, do you want some tips? And he went into like full on detail, like this is what you should do with this move and that move. And I was like, thank you so much. So shout out to that guy because I now know how to play her.
That's a good point. Like I'm too deep into the community. Yeah. I really see it. But coming from like
as being new.
I mean, you come from like an Xbox Live or PlayStation
first-person
ecosystem.
shooter too, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. And you come from like another
League of
MOBA.
Legends and
so,
WoW.
So what is the community like? Real quick before we move on to the Xbox One beta, what is that community transition like for you guys?
It just feels like everyone in the community really likes the game they're playing. Like they're not really toxic and bitter about it. So that if they're like, oh, you're a new player, please keep playing more. Here's what I can help you with. That happened to me as well.
I feel like everyone playing right now kind of really understands that this game is still bringing in a lot of fresh blood. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, it's really cool to see a community that kind of helps people out with a game that is easy to play but hard to master. Yeah. I think that's the best way.
I haven't really. I mean, I remember like those 3 weeks I spent in League and Dota, and I just remember it's very, very toxic. And while you will catch, I mean, it's the internet, guys.
It's the internet,
like, You're gonna catch.
Don't feed the trolls. It's like rule number 1 of the internet. Yeah.
You're gonna catch some of that in Smite. It's just law of averages, right? Mm-hmm. But at the end of the day, I think it's one of the more welcoming.
Yeah,
areas.
And I think what makes it what makes Smite easy to get into is the fact that there's only like 61 gods right now.
Yeah, so they're just over 60 now.
Yeah, like what Dota and League have like 120.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, so, I said that. I was like, oh, there's so many gods. And you're like, yeah, but that's way less than any MOBA. I was like, you're right. That is way less.
I had no idea.
It's like about almost half.
Yeah, I looked at League and they're like, it's up to 150 now, and I was like, well, there's no way I'll ever know all of these gods. Like, even in Smite, like I'd say there are 4 or 5 gods I feel like I could perform as well as any non-professional in any given situation. Yeah, but there are just so many little intricacies of each god, that I don't know how you'd master the gods there are in Smite, and I don't know how you'd master the champions there are in League of
well,
Legends.
I mean, actually, Smite's YouTube channel has like these awesome videos on like, this is what this god does, or like, this is how you counter this god. And
yeah, exactly.
I literally I'm at my desk, I'm like, cool, I have 10 minutes, I'm going to watch this video, and I'm going to know exactly how this god plays.
I need to do that.
And like how to counterplay it. And then when I go home, like I always have at least one practice conquest match where I'm just like, okay, like I'm going to choose this god, and I'm just going to go in and I'm just going to play as him for like a half an hour. So that way I do have a sense of what he does. Because I think that's one of the big things too, right? When you're playing Smite is you have a god that you like, you play as him, but it's also like, what can that guy do? There's so many times I'm like, what the hell did I just get hit by?
Yep.
Yeah.
But it's still fun.
That's huge on MOBAs as well as anything that's like a competitive strategy game. I know it's like third person, it's super fast paced, but I still kind of think of it as a strategy game. Mm-hmm. And knowing what your opponent can do is huge in any sort of competitive scene. That's like one main reason why in WoW I leveled so many ults. Because I'd be in arena, I'd be like, what the heck just hit me? All right, cool. Let me go watch videos and maybe level the character.
Yeah, like I have a healing debuff on me. What was that?
Exactly.
So, Xbox One.
Xbox One,
let's shift gears and talk about Xbox One. I don't know, man. I've played many thousand matches of Smite, and I love it. I love everything about it. And the first time I tried to use a controller the other day.
On your PC, though?
On my PC. And just to sort of get in the mood, if you will.
Warm it up.
And it did.
He grabbed some candles from bed.
Yeah, he did.
And I burned the house down. It did not go well.
He was not happy.
It went horribly for me. I went like 2-4 against Robot.
Oh, man.
I was Thor, and I couldn't line up the wall. I didn't know what to do. And then it dawned on me that this is really... The user interface it's got right now is really made for a mouse and a keyboard. Right?
Yeah.
And having said that, I have a friend who I've played probably 1,000 matches with, maybe 500, and he only uses controller, and he's every bit as good as I am. And I asked him last night, I was like, how do you do this? How do you do it? He's like, it's just practice, man.
It's
just
practice. So one of my good friends, shout out to Rated, he's really, for a newbie, he's really good. Mm-hmm. And he plays on a controller.
Yeah.
And he's totally just rocking it. And I think, so here's my thing. I think the hard thing, because you guys know me. I stream console games every single night. Mm-hmm. I'm on Twitch. I'm streaming console games, and then I'll be like, all right, guys, I'm switching over to Smite, and everyone's always just like, oh, what is this game? It looks interesting.
Yeah,
and then they freak out because they know it's on a mouse and keyboard.
Yeah.
That's
a weird barrier for entry for some people.
It's really weird for them because then they're just like, can I play this? Oh, it's a mouse and keyboard. I'm scared.
Yeah.
But the interesting thing though is that I feel like once you just get a controller in their hands with this game, people will really like this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think, like you said, it's got the accessibility that's sort of inherent to console games, right?
Yeah.
Like there isn't a million things you have to bind. There is a story you have to go through, and I'm really curious to see. I think you and I will be checking out the demo very shortly.
Yeah.
Sometime
I'm
soon.
excited.
Yeah, me too. I think there's some hurdles that they're going to have to get over with how they handle the store and sort of how they handle assigning skill points and
I think they're going to lean heavily on the pre-made builds.
The what?
The pre-made builds.
Oh, yeah. No, they can't. If you want a MOBA to be competitive, I'm saying professionally, but just competitive, you have to be able to fine-tune and tailor every single thing.
I like the idea you said of radials, like the radial menus.
Yeah, hold L left trigger, and then it brings up a thing, and then you move your analog stick to select, do you want power, and then you hit A, and then do you want this item, or, sub-menus and radials.
Very, very, very interesting. But the thing is, going back to what I was saying, it's just console kids, they get really scared when it's like, oh, it's a mouse and keyboard game. But a lot of them are just very interested. What is this? These gods look cool.
It looks cool.
What are you doing?
As a kid with a big mythology nerd, I saw this and I thought I would like to play that.
Yeah.
And I know
I was like, whoa,
other people have that same
Egyptian, Greek,
reaction.
Roman gods. This is sick.
Yeah.
So I feel like once you get a controller in their hands, and you get this on a console, then I think this is when console kids are really going to be like, oh, this whole MOBA thing. They're gonna eat it alive.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
I'm really interested in seeing the spike in Smite's player base, combined, sure, but from before the console launches, console version launches, to after the console version launches,
and their concurrence every night.
Yeah.
And also we should clarify, there's not going to be any cross-platform play.
I don't believe so. No.
But you will be able to get to keep your profile.
Yeah.
Transfer it.
Yeah, you can transfer it over.
So basically, I think what the information we have now, and again, this could all change preliminary. The beta's coming early 2015, so soon. And what's going to happen is they're going to allow you to transfer your data from PC to console one time only, from
Awesome.
what I understand.
Yep.
Because I have the God pack, so
Yep.
that
And
works.
then, and then those things are going to be their own separate ecosystems. There's not going to be any cross-platform play, and I believe the competitive scene will still, be on PC, which makes sense. But the console version, we checked out that footage. We're gonna see it soon, but from everything I've seen, it doesn't seem like it's a console version of a PC game.
Like Diet Smite.
It's not. It's very much full flavor Smite on the console. It's got that tangy, sweet barbecue flavor that you know and love.
Since we, this is gonna be posted on IGN, and there are gonna be a lot of console kids that might check out this video.
Right.
The game is free to play.
It is very.
It's going to be free to play on the console too, right?
Yes.
Oh,
yeah.
man.
There are certain gods on was it weekly or?
So there's a weekly rotation, and I had that list, but I don't think I brought it.
Oh, that's fine. On a weekly basis, you have 5 gods that you can play for free.
Yeah.
And they switch them out, or you can get all 60 gods plus all future gods for $30.
$30.
And that's called the God Pack.
So it's called the Ultimate God Pack.
Ultimate God Pack.
Half the price of a regular console game.
Yeah.
And you get everything.
That's a good point. So basically, any god that's been released up to this point, and any future god that comes out, $30.
Yeah. Or you can just play the hell out of it,
Yeah.
and then just buy gods through
With
just
favor.
with favor and all that kind of stuff.
Use the in-game currency.
We probably should have introduced a little bit about what Smite is, but I think
We were just like, I just
By
want
the
to
way,
talk
since
about
we're at the end of
Smite.
the console, the end of the podcast, this is what Smite's about.
yeah.
But
It's a bad place to put this. But yes, it's completely free to play. There is a premium currency, but there's also a hefty in-game currency that you can use to buy just about everything aside from premium cosmetic items, right?
Yeah.
Hats in
there are some really cool exclusive skins.
The skins, man.
Oh,
Oh, my
All right,
God.
we'll
That
save
is
that,
like-
we'll save
yeah,
that for
all
next week.
They're so good.
We'll go home and we'll look at the skins, and then we'll have this conversation next week.
I just have to add that I've not seen a cooler skin than the Archon skin.
Oh my God!
Thanatos.
Yeah,
the evolving
in any
one.
game,
Yeah.
I've never seen a cooler skin. Yeah,
Yeah.
sorry. I just had
So
to.
keep doing that, high res.
Yeah.
If you're so inclined, we would love to see. We would love to see more evolving skins. Cool. Well, that's really
that about wraps
we're
up.
out of time. We're a little over time. So
Kyle, where can they find you?
Oh, I'm on Twitter at Kyle.
I'm on Twitter as well at Brandon Tyrell. So
There you go.
Very
Really
Game of Thronesy.
mix
What-
that
yeah,
up.
Tyrell.
Oh, come on.
Yeah, how tired of you of that?
Actually, you don't get it
I'm gonna
much.
call you the Knight of Flowers.
So,
That's gonna be a thing now. This podcast forever.
Sorry, I
Well,
didn't
then
mean to
Knight
do that
of
on
Flowers.
camera.
let's all thank Kyle for making his first and last appearance. What about you, Alfredo?
Yes, my name is Alfredo. Thank you for joining and watching this podcast.
Yes, thank
you can
you very
find me
much.
on Twitter at the Alfredo Plays. Remember, guys, you can catch this on IGN, on IGN's YouTube channel, on YouTube.com/arena. That's the MOBA.
YouTube / IGN Arena. Sorry.
IGN Arena.
IGN
That's
Arena.
the IGN MOBA YouTube channel.
We have a Twitter
and we
account.
so we have a Twitter account too.
Yeah,
which
follow
is-
us on
IGN
Twitter.
_Arena.
yeah, for all the MOBAs if that's your thing.
Yeah.
And this will be up on iTunes as well. So
Cool. Yeah. So I think it's really important. We're not pros. We're never going to be pros.
Nope.
But we just really
love Smite.
talking about Smite and playing Smite, and
people
we
need to
want
hear about
to
it.
talk with you about Smite. So, write in. You can reach us at Godlike at ign.com. And also, you know what? Let's run a question. So we're talking a little bit about the Xbox One beta. We want to hear your thoughts. Is this something that you're interested in? If you're a hardcore PC player, will you migrate over? If you're not, will this get you into Smite? And we'll pick a winner at random, and we'll give them an unlock code for the Ultimate God Pack.
what?
There's no wrong answer though. We should stress that. I feel like I want to hear everyone's point of view. Like
Yeah.
if you're just straight up like, no, I do not care. I don't want to hear about the Xbox One version. That's fine.
Yeah.
And if you're like, oh, I can't wait. I'm literally just hanging out by my Xbox.
Yeah,
to
tell
hear
us
it's
why.
online.
Tell us why.
Yep.
Yeah.
We want to know why. Seriously, we want to know what you guys think about all this stuff. And if you have tips, like we said, it's a really healthy community. If you have tips or strategies, feel free to write in. If they're really helpful, we'll read them on the show. Maybe kick you down a code or something.
And just give us feedback overall on the podcast. If you think you've got an idea for a cool segment or anything like that, this
Yeah.
is something that, like I said, we're very happy to do, and this is new.
Very excited.
So,
very
I'm
much
really
up.
interested in seeing what we can do. We're
Yeah.
talking to High Res, so we should have some more good stuff for you.
Yep.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys very much for joining us, and until next week, catch you later.
Bye.
Bye.